Evening to all. I welcome each one of you for today's webinar session on behalf of the Department of Psychology, American College, and other co-associating institutions and our core team members. And today it is our 444th session, Art of Positive Parenting by Vijay Priya, and she is a psychologist. We would like to learn many from today's resource person, over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Good evening, all. This is a pleasure to see you. First of all, I would like to apologize everyone for making you all wait for such a long time. There were some technical glitches as such, so kindly excuse. I'll try to finish the session within the next 30 to 40 minutes. Thank you for bearing with us. First of all, today's topic is what of positive parenting. In life, as in parenting, we often are not prepared to see what it is totally about, right? When you become parents, you don't know what is in for it for you. The emotional upheavals, the tiresomeness, you're not prepared for any of it at all. So let us see how we can do now. I'll start presenting my slides now. What is parenting? Parenting is an all-round development of a child's physical, mental, and emotional well-being, preparing them for life as productive adults by transmitting values, skills, etc. Different people have different attitude about parenting. For me, P stands for patience, A, affection, or respect, E, enjoy, N for nurture, and T for tender love. These are just a few qualities each parents, either they have it or they have to cultivate it to have a very healthy parenting. Before explaining about parenting, there are a few parenting types, primary parenting types. Psychologically, it's divided. First is authoritarian parenting. This type of parenting, they impose authority. They expect the children to follow the rules without any questioning. They are very inflexible, rigid, dominating. It is like they think that this is my rule. You either bow down to me, you're not allowed to be creative. You have to listen to whatever I say, and this is my rule. This is called authoritarian parenting. Next, we'll see authoritative parenting. Here, they take the children's opinions into account, no hard and fast rules. Children are ready to listen to the parents are ready to listen to the children's needs, and they set the boundaries. Okay, you can experiment, you can be creative, but this is the boundary. Even if you fail, it's all right. It's like this. You can take the responsibility. This is called as next is permissive parenting. Permissive parenting is being lenient, give privilege, allowed to make mistakes, learn from letdowns. For example, it's like it's okay to make mistakes, we can learn from it. Next, the fourth type is uninvolved parenting. Ignoring child's needs, uninvolved, lethargic. They don't care what the child is doing. They don't know whether the child has exams, whether it is eating the food they want. They don't know the screen time, nothing. It's like I don't care what you do. Is there echo? Can anyone just
Ma'am, you can join from any one.
Sir, actually disconnect from another sir.
Only there is a there are two devices in your name.
Okay, sir, I'll disconnect from one read, sir. Okay, sir, shall I continue now? Is it audible now, sir? Is it audible now?
Audible, but still there is some echo, ma'am. Can you please check it?
Okay, next, there are lots of pop-ups in the latest psychological parenting types. This is the new generation parenting styles. They are called as tiger parents. Why they are called as tiger parents? They stay on top of things, give importance to academic success. They are controlling, decide everything. Basically, children lack emotional resilience and independence because the tiger parents stage manage every aspect of their life. They don't allow the children to do anything independently, no creativity, nothing. And I have picked up these pictures to give a sugar-coated appearance for a very bitter pill. This looks very amazing pictures, right? This animal pictures and all that. But the truth behind it is very, unpalatable. We'll go to the next parenting style. Just a moment. Yeah, just a moment. I had disconnected one device, so I am presenting it from the present device. Just a moment. Are you able to see the slides?
Can
Are
hear
you able to
what?
see the slides? No?
No, I couldn't able to see your presentation.
Okay. What do we do?
Yeah, it's loading.
Give me a moment. I'm just opening my slides. Just a moment. Sorry, there's a lot of glitches today, and I'm really sorry. And okay, next is helicopter parenting. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Next is helicopter parenting. They shelter from disappointment, failure, conflict, hover constantly around them, fulfilling all their needs. They anticipate problems before the problems could actually arise. They help problem solve without being asked. Children grow as vulnerable adults with less coping skills because the parents don't allow the children to explore new ideas or to face problems Before the children could face the problem, they just figure it out and try to problem solve. So the children grow very vulnerable with very less coping skills. Next is bulldozer parenting. Moving down child's obstacles, they foresee troubles, they are very overprotective, conformist. They believe in very strict rules. They are very inflexible, dominant. Children grow with very less self-esteem because the parents don't allow them to voice their own opinions, choices, ideas. They just say, I know everything. You don't need to figure it out. I am more experienced. I know the way the world works. So let me handle your issues. This is for your best. This is called as bulldozer parenting. Next is the most dangerous type. It is called as toxic parenting. They consistently ignore boundaries, withhold love in the sense you're undeserving of our love. You're not living to our expectations. You're not achieving. So you don't need our love. We won't do anything for you emotionally, financially, things like that. Invalidate child's feelings. They don't take child's feelings into account at all. They criticize, control, manipulate. They're passively aggressive. This creates a sense of insecurity and low self-esteem in the children. Dolphin parenting. They're firm yet flexible. They fix rules, yet allow to make their own choice. Apart from in all these parenting, this is usually considered as ideal type of parenting. They prioritize long-term goals. They value autonomy, that is expressing their own passion, choices. Children grow as good decision makers and social skills. Next comes the jellyfish parenting, child-led parenting style. Here, the parents ask the child's opinion for everything. You need this? Okay. You want that? It's okay. They act more as friends. They give little directions and rules. They're very spontaneous, unstructured. They give importance to love and creativity. There are no any boundaries at all. You want to watch TV? You can watch however long time you need. You need to play? You can play as much as you want. So children grow with very less discipline and they're very less assertive. They tend to be a bit selfish also if things don't turn out the way they want. What is lighthouse parenting? According to Dr. Kenneth Ginsburg, we raise kids to thrive. Parents serve as beacon to guide them, make sure they don't crash against rocks. Basically, if you see a lighthouse, what does it do? It just sheds some light for the ships to find direction and come to the shore. In the same way, parents just guide in a very subtle way for the children to come and reach the shore, allow them to ride the waves, though it is choppy. They give unconditional love, letting the child fail. It's okay if you fail. You can try many more times. And this helps the child to be resilient. They maintain a healthy balance of dependence and independence. Parents of special children. I need to make a special mention for these parents and bow down to them for the great, great efforts which cannot be said in words, for the efforts, hard work, patience, everything they do. My child is struggling and I'm exhausted. My spouse is disconnected from family. I feel like I'm not doing enough. Parents often feel challenged because how much ever they do, they feel it's not sufficient. They're very uncertain. How is it going to go? How long is my child going to survive? After my time, who is going to take care of my child? Resentment. Why did this happen to me? How come this has happened to me? What did I do to deserve such a thing? I was very careful during my pregnancy and I took care of my body and I was very emotionally strong. Then how did this occur to me? Frustration. Why am I not able to lead a life like other people? They can go wherever they want. They can put their children in whatever schools they want. Look at me, I have to go and I have to request people from pillar to stone. I have to rush around here and there, trying to give a better life for my child. Sadness. No matter what they do, they're emotionally and physically drained most of the time. We feel jealous seeing the regular parents. Why can't I be more like them?
Won't I get there? Life, what is this? And guilt. Why do I feel like this? This is my child. I have given birth to this child by myself. And why do I have such negative thoughts? They feel guilt when they think about such things. It is very disheartening, overwhelming to see such things and to face such occurrences in life. So what can you do? What a few pointers I have given, it might not fill totally the needs of you, but a little bit. It might help you in a little way. Find support system, delegate to some other people whom you can trust wholly, whom your child trusts totally. Take time for yourself and take time to nurture the relationship with other family members. It is tough to spare time, but nurture the relationship. Nurture siblings relationship. The other child, if it is a normal child, you can help, you can ask the child, you can inculcate feelings and values in the child to be help to the other sibling. Engage in the child's activity. It might be repetitive, it might be very simple, and it might not be very value based according to you, but engage in whatever activity the child wants to do. Brag their accomplishment, brag it, say very happily. Let the child see the happiness in your face. It can understand, the child can understand that yes, it has contributed to your happiness. Attachment parenting by John Bowley states there are 8 basic principles of parenting. Prepare for pregnancy. When you're pregnant, don't think, oh, this might happen, that might happen. There are too much information overload in the media and in all the Google searches. Don't think too much. Don't take too much of toxicity inside you. Prepare for pregnancy in a very well physical and emotional manner. Keep yourself very calm. Enjoy each and every steps of pregnancy, birth, and parenting. Feed with love and respect. Whatever you're feeding the child, feed it with utmost love and respect. That is also another human being. So feed with total respect and love. Respond with sensitivity. Don't be insensitive. Oh, it's a small baby. What does it understand if I'm angry? What does it understand if I just ignore it for a while? No, don't do that. It is the moment it is born, it's a human being with all the emotions, thought processes. So respond with sensitivity. Use nurturing touch. Touch it, hug it, cuddle it as much as you can. Engage in nighttime parenting. Spend time with it. I know it might be very energy draining for new parents, especially, but engage in night parenting with lots of love and patience. Provide constant loving care. It's not like if the child achieves something or it does behave in a way you want it to behave, then you give affection, love, and all. It's not conditional. Practice positive discipline all the time. Crying, throwing tantrums. Okay, people are watching, they might judge me being a bad parent. Okay, let me just adhere to whatever the child needs and make me just keep it quiet so that people don't judge me in a bad way. No, that doesn't work. Enforce it in a very gentle but firm manner. Strive for balance in personal and family life. You take time for yourself too. Family, you're part of family, but that's not the only you, right? So take time for your personal care as well. Words sharper, deadly than sword. Even I have been, perpetrator of all these things. So I can relate to this. Hurtful words parents often say, what's wrong with you? You don't try hard enough. How can you be so dumb?
Sorry to
Don't you ever think you will never amount to anything? Out of respect. I wish I never had you. I don't.
you.
The most
Hey, it is
deadliest of
echoing.
all. I don't love you. You know, these words are very, 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 very harsher, and it's very deadly words. What should we do in such situations? Rephrasing words to ease the situation. Children are bounty of love, joy, wonder, but 24/7 job of raising attentively is demanding, frustrating, tiresome, as we are bogged down with our own worries, pressures, and problems. Why such phrases actually hurt? Children look to parents for love, support, approval. They fear being abandoned, cause of being a disappointment to the parents, giving a sense of hurt, shame, rejection, and hopelessness. Actually, these negative thoughts and emotions are processed very much easier and faster to the children than positive words. We say it in a moment of heat, probably in anger or tired, or there are n number of reasons. But the only emotion the child feels it, I have been a reason of disappointment for my parents. I have let them down. I've caused them so much anguish. I am responsible. It's I. So after many years later, also they relate to this feeling of dejection, helplessness, guilt, shame. So it's better to rephrase these words before we tell that. So what are the healthy words instead we can use? Remove from the situation. It is overwhelming, it's frustrating, and we can't plan the responses we usually utter in the moment of heat. But what can you do? Deliberate. Deliberate in the sense, take a pause. There are certain methods you can count, reverse order, all these are the said and stated methods. You can take a deep breath or blow the air out. This works for me. The third one works for me. I blow the air out like a steam engine. I keep puffing out, and think, then rephrase. You can rephrase. I have given 3 sentences. You can use whichever works for you, or you can form your plenty of new sentences. We'll talk about this later. I need to give this some thought. I'm very upset and need to calm down. You can tell some positive affirmative statements, which will give you a cooling period for yourself, to the kids, as well as to the present situation. What you should not do not project the emotion of our shortcomings on them. We might be angry because of some job issues or personal issues. Do not project what you're feeling, that anger or frustration, on them. Realize our trigger. That might not be the children, might not be the trigger. Something else might be the trigger. One parent approached me saying that I usually have a very good relationship with my child. But my child has the exact appearance of my mother-in-law. So whenever I have any issues with my mother-in-law, I start smacking my child. So you have to take a step back, realize this trigger. Where is your anger coming from? Where is your frustration coming from? Is it your personal issue or the situational issue? And then try to work on it. Be kind to yourself. Walk, read, chat with a friend, eat, and meditate. Eat. Whatever you feel like preparing something, prepare and eat, or you feel like going out for a walk, go out and eat. In the current scenario, if you just go out and eat, and you'll say this person in webinar, she said to relax ourselves, to go out and eat. The police uncle will come and catch hold of me then. What is this during this lockdown time and restrictions? You are advising people to go out and eat, and I might land up in some trouble. So when everything comes to normalcy, you can try this method. Okay, take time out for yourself. As a flight attendant says, put on your own oxygen mask before you help your child. This is one of my most favorite statements. If you are healthy, if you are sane and healthy, you can help your child and you can help others as well, right? So there are 3 A's to follow: stop, step back, and simplify. Stop. Don't just outpour your emotions immediately. Step back for a while, think, reflect, and simplify the issue. To be honest, in the bigger frame of things, the issues are very, very tiny when you take a far-off look. This is the family social structure. This is like a constellation in the sky. Various people attribute to the development of the child and everything. There are many, many values, but I've given just a few in a nutshell. Grandparents give us unconditional love values. Parents love, discipline, mutual trust, siblings sharing, tolerance, anger management. They know to draw the boundaries and how to overdraw the boundaries as well. Friends, skills, pleasure, immediate needs. Actually, because of paucity of time, I'm not going in detail with all these things. I'll just skim through the things. I wanted to go in detail, but we are running out of time, so I'll just go through it. Society, they learn forbearance and adherence to norms. That is, we have basic society norms which we have to follow. This we learn from the social network. Alfred Adler is one of the psychologists who says that the birth order of a child plays a very great role in realizing the potential of the child, and it helps in the formation of the various personality traits of the child as well. The first child usually feels dethroned. It will be the prince or the princesses of the home. Once the second child is born, it feels dethroned. It has a high parental expectation, responsibility. It's often driven to achieve more. Second child parents expect very less. See elder sibling as threat, is competitive, set high goals. Youngest child is often pampered by parents, siblings, set unrealistic goals, often potential is unrealized. Single child retain 200% attention from parents. They are overprotected, center of attention. They prefer adult company and they are quite independent. Twins, one is mature, stronger, and usually the leader will take the lead and the other will be the follower. Usually they have identity issues. They strive to separate their self from the other and create an own different self-image. So to maintain a family structure, what are the basic rituals? We need to have a good interaction in the family, say good night, good morning, helping in daily activities like fetching newspaper, milk, setting calendar, lighting lamp, taking pets for a walk, feeding pets like fishes, parrot, cat, rabbit. This usually ends up in the mother's territory, I know, but you can encourage them to follow all these, okay, giving them a sense of responsibility. In school days, filling water bottle, packing snacks, setting dress or uniform or the books ready for the classes, wash plate and glasses they use. It helps them to not waste the food. Sometimes when we make the children do this, washing the plates and all, they realize that they are wasting food items, for example, like cabbage, capsicum. They are not very fond of all those things. So the next time they might have a lesser serving of it, or they might, try to eat it. Helping to serve dishes and enjoy family time without television. This is the main thing. You can chat, you can talk. Then you realize what actually the other person likes and all that. You can have a whole load of conversation and skills during this. What are the values we learn by all these daily rituals? Sharing, communication, humility, self-discipline, responsibility, faith, hygiene, and emotional well-being. Challenges faced by parents, learning issues, be it offline, online, or whatever it is. These are some basic issues we face. Child not interested to study or write homework. In case of older children, prodding or nagging to sit for their study time. Go, study, it's your study time. What we can do, we can engage younger children by storytelling and motivating them to work hard. Come on, see that hero, see this person in the book, see how he's achieving. You can do it. All that. This works for a few days. Then, for a step or two, you hold the child's hand and help them to climb. Then you let your hand go and let the child climb by itself. It'll put its knee, it'll put its hand, try to climb. In the same way, just guide them in a very gentle way to become independent on their own to follow all these activities. Prepare a study plan, focus on knowledge, not performance. How much they have learned. Marks is, after all, just a number, right? So create a reward system. I'm not telling about buying goods or eatables or something like that. What do they wish as rewards? This also can be discussed with the children. Set smaller goals, easier achievable goals. Appreciate, encourage for the efforts they have taken. Appreciate them wholesomely, happily, clap hands, have a great laugh, even if it is a small thing according to you, but for them it's a very bigger thing. So appreciate them, encourage their efforts. Sleeping issues. This even the adults face it of late. So with the onset of pandemic, Routine has gone for a toss. We often find children sleeping very late and barely awake with toothbrushes in their mouth, attending online classes. This is a scenario in every household, in my home at least, as it is with adolescents too. So what we can do? Set regular sleep wake time, keep physically active by skipping or other indoor activities. De-gadgetize 1 hour before sleep. Don't give them any gadgets, not even TV time. Talk to them, share your childhood memories. They love that, believe me. My throat and all goes sore, talking, telling stories and all that, telling them Vikram Betal stories and telling them to come up with what is the answer for this, who's the murderer, or what was the reason for all these. They enjoy, barring any age, they enjoy such stories. A warm bath with a glass of warm milk with a bit of turmeric and jaggery also helps to relax the children and adults together for a good night's sleep. Eating disorder, eating instant junk food without any time limit while attending classes, watching TV has become very habitual. What we can do? Have regular family meal time, give healthy choice of food and snacks, involve them in menu preparation, tell them to prepare what they like to eat. And you can make a healthy combination of that. Set yourself as model to encourage healthy eating habits. No, don't eat the chips. Don't eat the chips while watching TV. And you'll be snacking with Lays, reading a book or watching TV. This is not modeling and this doesn't work at all. So even you have to be a good model to show children healthy eating habits. Add variety of fruits and nuts as snacks. Tender coconut, buttermilk instead of Coke and Pepsi. Gadgets addiction, the most deadliest one. Gadgets addiction is an obsessive behavior interfering with usual living, causing stress, anxiety on family, friends, loved ones, affecting our daily performance. What we can do? These are just a few tips I can give because time constraint and just going it in brief. Limit screen time, lock. Once they finish playing games, keep the gadget totally away in a different room so that they're not tempted to check out messages often. The likes in Facebook, handling teen children is a totally another topic. We need a whole webinar series for that. So you set an example by using less time in gadgets. While the kid is answering, keep your gadgets away, look them in the face to face, see their eyes, answer. You're distracted by watching the mobile or watching TV, just saying a single word or just abstract nodding and answering, it won't work. Later, they'll give you the same type of reply. And you'll be wondering why they are replying in such a very indisciplined way. So you set an example for them. Limit number of gadgets at home. Alternate with craft, painting, book reading, cooking, indoor games, gardening, dancing, tea party. You can prepare a small wake-up session in your home itself and set a tea party at home. Engage with relatives, encourage them to make phone calls, talk to elders in the family, and they can play with pets as well. These are healthy alternatives. Tantrums, disobedience, and talking back. What to do? Do what feels right. That doesn't mean smacking them. Okay? Have patience. The 3 years you remember, right? Remember the 3 years. Do not give up. Okay, she is like that only. She's stubborn. He is stubborn. I can't do anything about it. He is born like that. Okay? Do not give up. Do not make such statements to yourself and especially in front of your kid. Be consistent. Trying to correct the child at a time and then just giving it up later because you are tired. No, that doesn't work. You have to be consistent. Try not to overreact. Let's not show all our drama skills, emotional skills, be overly dramatic and making a mountain out of the molehill. No, let's not do that. Talk to your child. Be positive about good things. Avoid smacking. Adjust expectations. You can't expect a child or a toddler to be a rocket scientist the day a few years old child. In the same way, don't have very, very high expectations. Just keep limited goals, which the child can do it for a day or so. Be proactive. Encourage positive habits in children by being an example yourself. Know your triggers. We have already talked about this. Praise for job well done. Focus on bigger picture. right? Happiness is the aim of life, but virtues is the foundation of happiness. This is one perspective of life. We have umpteen of sayings like this, but this is one aspect which shows various values, if inculcated in children, will help them to lead a very beautiful quality life with lots of self-worth, empathy, and all the positive attributes. I'll just rush through this because we are nearing the end of the session. Give me a few more minutes. Creativity, curiosity, love of learning, open-mindedness, perspective, make sense of self, make them realize what they are, their boundaries, their ability, and their passion, choices, authenticity. Let them be authentic. Be true to yourself. Just because the other person is expecting, don't pretend. No pretentiousness. Be authentic. Bravery, not shrinking from challenge or pain or failures either. Be persistent, finishing what we start despite the obstacles. Just approach life with excitement, energy, kindness, love, value the relations, social intelligence, aware of feelings, motives of self and others, leadership, being proactive, forgiveness, not being vengeful to others, humility, accomplishment, speak for us, teamwork, work well as member of group, prudence, not say anything regrettable. Think before you speak, self-regulation, being self-disciplined, appreciation of beauty and excellence from arts to mathematics to science to everyday experience, gratitude, being thankful for good things, hope, expecting the best and working to achieve it, humor, bring smile to people, seeing lighter side of things. We need not be so serious all the time. Okay, and we need not be so productive every day. Today I did this, that. Take a break. We are all humans after all. Take a break of a day or two, or if not possible, take a break of hour at least. Do something what you like to do. Don't go into burnout. Don't get burnout. Learn to delegate and take time for yourself. Self-love. Take care of yourself first. That helps in strengthening the relationships all over. Spirituality, where one fits within the larger scheme, self-realization, self-evaluation, cleansing yourself, not just physically, emotionally, mentally, throwing away the baggages, cleaning yourself mentally and keeping yourself free, finding closure for all the things which has happened previously, making a fresh start. Bird eye view and warm eye view. We usually use this in organization skills. Bird eye view helps to see problem from a broader perspective. It breaks issues into smaller bits, gives authority. That is planning a life for your child, career goals, and education. All these comes under the bird eye view. I'm giving another alternative, that is the warm eye view. See the issue in grassroots level. Go down on your knees. Get to the level of the child. Have an eye contact. See the way the child sees the world. From their perspective, see the world. See the bigger picture. Understand the child's viewpoint. In conclusion, this is the last slide. Colors of life. If you see this beautiful mobile, we would have all used all this when the child was very small, right? The musical mobile which keeps moving in the gust of wind, or when you on a button or switch or something like that. Let our own gust of love, the love we feel like a tender breeze, let it rotate this beautiful mobile called as child. C for charm, H for happy, I for inquisitiveness, L for love, D for desire. Let it rotate. If you see in this musical mobile, even if a single object falls down, there is an unbalance, isn't it? There is no proper balance. It loses the balance and it's not functional anymore. So let all these qualities in the child be encouraged. They are stubborn, they are throwing tantrums. Yeah, you can resolve it. But no, don't snatch away the object in the mobile, okay? What color, what picture? You have a beautiful palette of colors in front of you with so many colors. so many beautiful, lovely, splashing colors. What color you want to use to make a picture? You want a ghastly picture or you want a beautiful painting? I'm not talking the figurative painting. I'm talking the painting of life. But that doesn't allow, that doesn't work alone. You need to work together as a family for this to form a very beautiful, lovely picture. And I'm sorry again for the late beginning of the session. And if there is, I just rushed through the session. So yes, if there is any doubts, this is a question answer session. So if you have any doubts, you can in the chat box or speak, muting the audio.
Thank you. It was a very wonderful presentation and detailed explanation. And we can see the lot of
Am I
positive
audible?
feedbacks.
I'm asking at the end of the session.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear our voice?
Okay.
Vijaya, ma'am, can you hear? Hello.
Thank you all for being a part of this session. It was, I again apologize for starting it a lot late. Everyone's time was precious. There was some unforeseen circumstance and it was like a very rushed out session in fact. So if anyone have any questions, they can ask me. Thanks for all your appreciation. Lot. There's no time to thank each and every one of you individually. So thank you, everyone. Hope I did justice for the time given by Suresh sir and Salim sir for voicing my thoughts in this topic, which is very closer to my heart. And I feel I would have done some fair bit of justice for the opportunity given and some healthy takeaways from session. If it works for you people, I'll be the most happy and thankful. Yeah. Salim sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Vijay, ma'am, can you able to hear our voice? Hello. I think resource person.
Yes, sir. I can hear you now, sir. I have removed my headphones, sir.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you, ma'am. It was a very nice, wonderful session and detailed explanation presentations. And we can see the lot of positive feedbacks in the chat box as well. There are plenty of people, they put their positive feedbacks. It shows that the presentation and delivery and the content, everything, it was wonderful and nice, ma'am. So actually, we are a little bit late. However, we can give the time for a question and session. Participant, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question to resource person now. Participant, any other questions?
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you, ma'am. It was truly a beneficial session and your presentation was very good, ma'am. So the topic, as you said, it is applicable in day-to-day setting and it is very much important for everyone. So my question is a bit more practical, ma'am. So you explained about Bowley's attachment style and you talked about Adler's birth order also. So it was all very beautifully collaborated. So as a parent, do you find it easier or difficult to like incorporate these theories in a practical setting, ma'am?
It is actually very easier. The thing is, as a psychologist, we can understand what they say and what they don't say also, the non-verbal cues and all that. All these, basically spirituality, science, all these are incorporated into a single philosophical life model. And yes, it is very applicable also in day-to-day things. And I have actually personally picked up all these strategies from my own experiences, which actually works. Hope this helps. This answer helps.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, participants?
சார் லிங்க் எதுவும் வரல.
லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன் சார், மேல இருக்கு பாருங்க chat பாக்ஸ்ல. நீங்க அப்படியே ஸ்க்ரோல் பண்ணி பாருங்களேன், இருக்கும். It is sent already. Dear participant, you can find the feedback link in the chat box.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
That was a wonderful
Yes, ma'am.
session, ma'am. That was a wonderful session. Well presented, except for the start in the hitch. It was a really wonderful session and need of an hour, I think. It's really useful. It was really useful and very precious to the course. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your wonderful feedback. Unfortunately, I had to just rush through it. I had planned to make it a much
Exactly.
more humorous and, descriptive, but I hope it was able to fulfill all your expectations. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your feedback.
Thank you, Vijaya ma'am.
Yes,
So
sir.
finally-
Salim, sir, thanks a lot, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice presentation. There are a lot of positive